Okay, so it looks like we're live. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight, Friday, talking about figures. I am Andre, and there's Sean, and there may be a few more people joining us tonight. They haven't shown up yet, but we got at least an hour or two to go, so hopefully during that time. Um, let's see. See, we already got some viewers. Hey, great. Hello, everyone. So, Sean, to kick things off, anything interesting happened this week?
Not really. Just picked up a very nice hovercraft from a local guy. I think there was only very few minor blemishes with it, but finally picked up one of my grails. I had lost probably about 98% of my collection back. I'm thinking about 92, 93. My brother was playing with a broken lighter. It was burning cobwebs, and I guess they wasn't catching or something. But basically, what happened, I guess, it ended up sparking the cobwebs. Uh, the fire went up into the loft of the garage, and caught everything on fire up there.
Ouch.
And by the time the fire department got there and pulled everything out of there, out of the cardboard boxes, it was basically one huge chunk of what I could see was a little bit of the Mobat, parts of the GI Joe headquarters, parts of the Rattler and Sky Striker, and everything else was just a big like blob of smoking, smoldering plastic. So
Yeah.
it was nice to get one of those replaced. And other than that, not too much else going on.
That's So you were able to pick up the whale?
Yeah, from a local guy, so it was pretty cool. Little shop that's here in town, 19th Street Antique Mall. We've got a lot of toys and stuff in there. I did get to go in on Friday. Let's see, it was last night. He was the guy that works there, Nick. He was closing up, and I did get to go inside. He said there was one person that had Baroness, the 6-inch Baroness, and went in to go look at it and check the price, and the guy wanted 110 for it. It's like, no thanks.
I never had the whale, the GI Joe whale. I had the hydrofoil, but not the whale. However, I did have a neighbor friend, and his parents were able to get him almost every toy that was the thing to get. Um, he had like every Transformer, you know, since the beginning. Every GI Joe, and every vehicle, every Star Wars, every vehicle, every figure, everything. Um, so he had the whale, and I only got to have hands on with it for a few times. Uh, he didn't really take it out to play with much because it had a lot of small pieces, and I think what it has has small depth chargers. I think
Mm-hmm.
um, it has a small little motorbike. Uh, did yours come complete with everything?
Yeah, it has everything. Everything is there. The only thing it didn't come with was Cutter, but he said he was going to throw in Cutter, and I said, you know what? Just leave him with the um, other hovercraft because he had two. The other one was a little bit better. Um, I don't think it had any broken pieces. Mine has just a small broken tab on the front ramp, a broken windshield around the front, and the two bottom pieces that connect to the vanes, the connectors. those are broke, which not really that big of a deal because I don't plan on really, moving those around anyway. I know there's a couple people that do have really nice 3D printed replications of the vanes and the propeller guard that I've looked at too. So that's something I might consider in the future. But as for now, I'm just going to leave it. But I had to pick it up. It was just such a awesome piece that I had when I was growing up. I don't know how many times that I lugged that thing miles away down to the river and with my friends, and I've at least had the Warthog and the hovercraft, had all my figures in the backpack and had a duffel bag. I would carry everything down there. We'd go down there and set up along the river and the side little stream, and we'd float our vehicles down the little side stream and have riverside battles and stuff. And man, it was just an awesome piece that I was really disappointed to lose, and to get that back has been just I cannot wait to start doing pictures with it.
Right. I'm going to have to get with you, I think, and maybe see about, because now you got my interest. If he had two whales, I may be interested in the other one. But I do need to get. I do want to recreate my collections from the 80s. I still need to get a hydrofoil, and because I had one, and I don't know whatever happened to that. It's like one day it's just no longer there. I don't know what happened, and then time passes, you move, things like that. Then you look back and you start thinking like, when was the last time I saw that? Was it in the garage? Was it outside? Whatever happened to it? And so I don't know. So there's a number of old Joe vehicles that I had that just vanished, and I don't have any recollection as to how they vanished. They're just boom, gone. But I do have some suspicions, but yeah. But the so the hydrofoil is one I really want to get again. I also want to get a whale, and there's a few other vehicles that came around after I stopped collecting. I don't know their names. There's some aircrafts. There's some ground vehicles. There's Destro stuff. I think something called a Demon, and there's a few other things like that I would like to get. But yeah, the whale is one of those. Oh, a Terradrome. I need to get a Terradrome. But what I really want to get also are the small aircrafts, like the Firebat. I need to get more. I have some, but I need to get more, and I'll say why. I also need to get many more stilettos. I am, as you know, I'm doing things with the VSS by Victor Garcia, and that's the venomous sea serpent. And mine is number 002. And that one is a unique one in the sense that it's going to be very long. And I'm doing it on a space theme. So it's more like a space carrier. And what I would like to do is to put a number of, fighters and things like that in there. And the only one I can really think of that really looks nice with it are the stilettos. So I have a total of 3, but I need many more. I need at least 8, and I think I need even more than that, but at least 8. So I gotta go. I gotta hunt for 5 more at least. So maybe some messages here.
Yeah, Otto says, I'll jump on in a bit. Just got home from work. Got to grab something to eat. So Otto will be in here in a little bit, trying to figure out a couple of the places to share the groove. Um,
Right.
I'm trying
Um,
to. What is Warren Warren Zelensky's group?
well, looks like probably just Otto is going to be joining us tonight, and
Okay.
not Victor. There's things he's got to take care of first, and it was a bit sudden. Also, trying to do the broadcasts every Friday, and the week passes so quickly, and then next thing I know, I need to say, oh, I need to make sure that such and such person knows I'm going to be doing a broadcast, and so it's like last minute for everything.
Yeah. Well, as we continue moving forward, we can pick up more people, and more people start spreading the word, and would be interested in chiming in and giving their thoughts and feelings on their collections or what's coming up and stuff like that. So
Right, right.
there's always potential to bring other people in.
Well, before I start talking about the VSS and on some things that I was experimenting and doing today, and then showing some of the CAD files that I'm working on, um, something that came in the mail today, and I truly wasn't expecting it. From Joe Fest, the Marauder Mayhem event that they had. If you couldn't make it to the event, they would mail some items that you would get at the door. Not everything, because they had more stuff at the event. But I did get a Marauder shirt and the mask. But
Ooh,
I also got, I don't know if you can see it really well in the bag,
ooh.
the snow theme uh, German, World War II German soldier.
We were just looking at those last week.
Yes.
Very cool.
And also a second figure is, I would like to say it's all desert, but this is the one that's in the tan. Let me try to block out the tan color.
Cool.
So I'll take it out the bag. And there was also a bunch of heads.
Oh man, you got some. They got some of the prototypes.
I think so. I suspect so. I don't know too much.
If those are the prototypes, there might be there. If, look for the head in there that has an eye patch.
Yes.
If that's it, that's the prototypes, and that's those are from what I understand. I didn't want to say anything last week, but yeah. Oh, you lucky man. Oh, that is so cool.
I'm trying to block
There,
out the glare.
yeah, there's several African American heads. One of them kind of reminds me a little bit of um, the guy from Lethal Weapon, Murtaugh, or um, gosh, I can't remember his name. Um, Zedmore. I can't remember Winston Zedmore. I can't remember his name. Ernie Hudson. Looks like Ernie Hudson's head.
There's a guy with the
Yeah,
mohawk.
the guy with the mohawk.
Yeah, when I saw these, it's like, okay, there's the removable hair pieces.
Those are probably for the what's her name? The Christine head or the Christie head.
Yeah, and there's the head for that. Let's see.
That is so rad.
But then there's others, and I'm just wondering. I mean, there's one that looks like it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I'm not sure. And then I started to wonder, well, maybe are all of these the Marauder prototypes, or are some of them like guest casters who design their own heads, that kind of thing.
I want to say this is where I don't want to speculate anything because I'd seen something. I'm going through my Joe figures pictures right now. I don't know. I thought I had it saved. Somebody had mentioned it about the figureheads, the prototypes, and somebody shared them, and they didn't really want them to be shared.
Hmm.
This was on his tank that I saw the heads on. Oh yeah, this the one dude that looks like the old man's head,
Yes.
bald with the beard. That
Yes.
looks like Obadiah um, from Iron Man 2, I think.
I
It
think one.
was it 1?
Yeah.
No, it was Iron Man 2 because, or maybe it was 1.
When
It was 1.
when he gets out of the cave and returns back to, yeah, that's one.
Yeah, and then it was Jeff Bridges that played that character, and it's
Yeah.
yeah. So those are the ones that I saw on his tank. And, somebody had mentioned something on one of the Marauder sites, and they I don't know if it was Marauder John or somebody basically said that they kind of wanted it to be kind of hush hush until they made an actual announcement. So I mean, I'm not helping any right now, but
Right.
eventually, they're gonna the pictures will make their rounds. Excuse me, they make their rounds, and people will start talking. So regardless, I mean, that's some really awesome head sculpts to look forward to.
Yeah, I was wondering about them because some of them, when they're not painted, they're just in gray. They look like the heads you see in a thumbnail from a person who does casting. And I know some of those people who do casting, they get to a point where they begin to design the head, so it's something unique, and they make a cast of their own creation. And I was wondering when I was looking through some of them, it's like, okay, some of these look like what they were showing on the website, and too bad I didn't read every word, because then I start to think that maybe by skimming what they wrote, maybe I missed some information. Like these heads were created by so and so from some other uh, group, company, or something. But
What the hell is that?
I saw some of these things, and I'm thinking like,
We're in a giant
are
field.
all of these 100% Marauder heads, Marauder creations, or is it a mixed bag with mixed Marauders and mixed someone else's? I don't know. Let's see.
Sorry, I didn't see anything. I can't see anything over there with the glare of the light. Apparently, there is a very large flying object here in the house that my girlfriend does not like.
You're talking to get your back in.
That's another thing. I'm just still eagerly awaiting the drop of everything from Marvel Task Force. They kind of did mention that they may be limiting certain amounts of items that people would be purchasing in the beginning. I don't know how true that is. That would be kind of nice because some people that do have a little deeper pockets tend to wipe out the site much quicker than the people that are just casually buying figures. Uh, People like myself and Otto, and probably yourself, I'm just waiting for some legs for my Valkyries, a couple sets of dress pants, uh, and then some of the camouflage some of the regular camouflage pants, or at least the figures, the contract office that come, with, I believe the red, yellow, blue shirts. I'm not sure. I know they have that blue camouflage and then the regular, look like kind of regular, just woodland camo, I guess, or kind of.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I could probably just walk around the corner and go grab them right now. But you guys know what I mean. It's just to complete some figures because when I bought when I pledged on the Valkyries, I got a lot of extra body parts. A lot of just t-shirt and torsos. So of course I can't just leave them as the t-shirts and a head because all I have to do is put a pair of legs and I have another figure. So I might as well do it instead of just well, I'm going to take these pants off and switch it out. And, so now this person can have a t-shirt and torso with pants and make it look like they're out of their jumpsuit. I'm not like that. Like four bodies have to have legs.
Mm. So, anyways, I am talking about these Marauder figures. The one that's in the desert tan color. I'm not sure what to do with them because I usually don't paint the figures themselves, and so I'm going to probably do something this one with a desert theme, and but I'm going to have to like either paint the head myself or maybe just buy a Marauder head that's already painted.
Mm-hmm.
Just to save the hassle of dealing with the small details like the eyes. At least until I get glasses, because my eyes are going bad. I'm at that age now where it's like this is kind of small. It's my credit card numbers, but is that a 2 or it's a little blurry on some things for me now, and I'm just waiting for this pandemic situation thing to kind of get better before I feel comfortable going to the eye doctor. And it's like I don't have a problem going to see like a dentist, for example. But when it comes to the equipment that the eye doctor uses, I know you can't just spray a cleaner on them, especially with some of the coatings that they put on the lenses to protect the lenses. And because some even alcohol can be harmful to those particular coatings. So until I feel a little bit more comfortable, I'm not going to get my eyes checked, but I do need to get them checked. And so I'm not going to do any detailed painting unless I'm using my steampunk goggles, in which I have those jeweler magnifying glasses. I could just lower down and I could just take a look. So that's what I'm relying on now for detailed work. Which is kind of sad in a way, because I'm looking at stuff almost point blank because of the magnifying glass, and so anyway, so the figure, I don't know if it's a brand new sculpt on things, but it is a nice color on the figure itself, and it should be fairly easy to paint and dust up and make it look sandy. All the
is it just a plain tan?
Yeah, just all plain tan. All the gear, everything is just plain, same color.
Okay.
Except for one of the helmets. One of the helmets is a brown. Is it here or? Yes, it's there. It's just a brown one. I can barely see it in all this, but no details.
Mm.
But they're all German gear, so it's not like this is a British soldier or something like that. It's all German, including the snow one. Let's see. Take that one out for a moment. This one I think came with a painted head, but this one, the the uniform is painted, so it's not like all one color. So everything's done nice. The German helmets, two of them are white, and it looks like it's brushwork, and it's not like from the factory molded plastic. It looks like it's green underneath, and they just brush it over, which I rather like because it gives a type of realism. You can imagine German soldiers preparing for winter conditions or painting their own helmets with some white paint.
Mm-hmm.
So I rather like that. The paint work is kind of uneven. I mean, you can see some streaks of like a paintbrush, but I kind of like that. So I'll see. I gotta move this out the way. So I thought that was pretty good. Now I want to get more. Do you know any details about these? Are these going to be a regular thing on the store?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I don't even, like all I've heard is I didn't even know that those prototype heads were going to be available in the store until I saw something recently. Especially with the new what they call them, Christine head or whatever those new female heads. Christina, was it what they called it?
I think so.
Yeah, I didn't even know that those were going to be available until I saw them, which is I'm really stoked. Um, there's nothing here that says anything. So yeah, I don't know anything else. I don't know what's even being released when the restock is back open. All I can speculate is that the new contract ops figures, the dress suit figures, um, probably some of the new weapons. And I would really hope that some of the older stuff, like the male and female dress pants, the regular black outfits. I know a lot of people have been waiting for the Theodore head. I don't know if they're making any more of those. And then just like I said, some of the regular just colored T-shirts and bottoms. So just, I mean, they're out of a lot of stuff.
So I also got something in the mail that arrived today, and this is, as I was hinting on a little bit, it's for the VSS. And for those who don't know, the VSS is a large Cobra, or could be some other aircraft carrier. And but mine is I'm customizing it so it's more of a space carrier. And so I'm really doing a lot of design right now. Excuse me. Basically, I'm trying to convert the entire body of it into a bunch of greebles, things to look more spacey. And I've been brainstorming recently on adding some components to the outside, making a more fancy engine room area, adding say, hey, we got someone at the stream. Hey, greetings.
Hello.
Hey. So we were talking about the VSS and some custom work that I'm doing with it. And let's see, where I left off was talking about the engine room component that I'm adding. And I got a bunch of these LED torch light bulbs. They are like flickering light bulbs. There's these big things. And I would put one on. But this one has a type of orange light that is kind of strange. Just plug it in.
Is it flickering, or is that just the camera?
It is flickering. I don't know if let's see.
It's supposed to be like if you were to put it inside of a torch or something. It's supposed to kind of look like a flickering, small flickering flame. Flame is in there.
Oh, like you got like a real flame, man.
Right. Computer, turn off Joe room light.
Okay.
So maybe it was better with the light on. Computer, set Joe room light to maximum. Okay. Well, let's see. If you put it up,
Yeah, I kind of get the idea.
it detects.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the flame is actually coming from the bottom.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It has different modes. It has just a constantly on bright mode, dim mode, and then the flame mode. So I just want to have it. I just want to have it like this, just horizontal, because I want to put it as the thruster areas of my VSS. So I want to have it, all enclosed and have some reflective material on the inside, and have this thing here like it's the thrusters glowing. And so I got two of them, and I just need to design and make some sort of housing thing for it, some sort of mounting unit that I can put it in. And what I do like about it is that it does have a battery. I don't know how long it lasts or how to change it, but it's also USB powered. And so if I take it off, so now, but the thing is that my VSS has a Star Trek warp core, and the idea I got from Frank Nash when he was connecting his warp core to his flag, and so I rushed out to ThinkGeek and I ordered one, and it came, and it's a little bit on the small side, but you can build it up, and it's got some ports for powering car devices with USB. So so these thrusters are going to be actually powered by a warp core. And I made a little video. Maybe I can show that now. Earlier today, just putting some things together. I don't know how well you can see this, but come on, play. Oh, I gotta play over here.
Oh, that's cool.
So, of course, the finished thing is not going to be exposed, anything like that. But I thought it was interesting because of the light going through the water type door window here. Kind of reminds me of some sort of boiler room. You can imagine like some sort of steam powered something with some sort of engine room in the back, some sort of boiler. And let's see, how do I do this? Yeah, so I just got a bunch of other photos, video of that. So it's a lot of work on this VSS, but it's coming along.
How big is this thing altogether?
Oh gosh, I think one lower deck on the VSS is 4 feet, something like that, or approximately 4 feet. And my VSS
Okay.
is twice as long, so it's 8 feet. And then it's twice as deep as the regular VSS. So it's quite a bit of space. And
Damn.
yeah, I got some other pictures to show with that. Let's see. I'll have to fish it out of my other hard drive. So Otto, you ever had the whale?
I had one. Actually, I had two at one time,
No.
but I ended up a few years ago had to sell my collection, a good chunk of my collection off, and unfortunately, both of those had to go.
Oh.
But yeah, I always loved the whale. I thought it was one of the definitely my top 10 favorite vehicles for the Joe line.
Yeah, I'm connecting to my network hard drive. Going to show the current screenshot of my VSS. So anyone out there also doing the VSS work, this is something that no one has seen yet outside of this group, except Otto. I don't think Otto has seen it either. Current things, almost there. It's like directory after directory. Oh, wrong directory. Assembly plans.
Yeah, let's keep this PG-13.
Almost there. Okay, let's see. Where's the current one? View large icons. Okay. Okay, let's see. Let me bring up a file viewer here. Oh, okay. Let's see. Got a share screen. Application window. This one. Share. Okay, y'all saw this. Okay. So this is the current design right now of my VSS. It is this is basically one lower deck right here, so it's twice the length and twice as deep.
So all the gray stuff here, that's the original size of the VSS in the dark gray.
Well,
Oh, the stuff on top there.
yeah.
Oh,
not,
wow.
not quite. This back here, that's going to be the engine box where I'm going to put the light. But yeah, this is the flight deck. This is another flight deck sub unit. The bridge tends to mount back here. And although I'm going to do some changes and make my bridge extra long, so my bridge is going to be mounted more around this area. And then I'll have a secondary bridge mounted on top. And I'm still debating how to kind of close things off. I don't want to just truncate it at the end. I want to have something maybe slope it down in the back, like an Imperial carrier or something like that. And I'm adding some stuff here, some corridors, some walkways, and I'll put some airlocks, and then I need to find a bunch of Cobra stilettos, because that's what I'll need on this thing, being space themed.
Damn.
Let's see. Earlier, so this is the back part where the engine is gonna. Oh, I can't scroll it out, but the engine box is going to be back here. So all this is going to get sealed up. But it may have some access, so I can put the warp core, have some computers and figures around.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much room I'll have. But I'm trying to work within 2 feet.
I don't know how to do that. Can we? I don't know, but welcome, Clemente. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, hey. Oh, hey there. Hey.
He says, "Damn, that's dope."
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks for joining. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a crazy complicated project. But y'all seen that guy from Empire Toy Works? He
Yeah,
had
the guy that built that insane space station.
Rock Gut Station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So that's my inspiration for doing something big and complicated like this VSS. All thanks to him. So I'm looking into some LED lights, light strips. I need 2 sets, the RGB type and the regular warm yellow type. Got these LED light things, torchlight things. I want to get a blue one. They do sell blue ones, and I just want a color that I can kind of hide behind a wall with a window, so I could get some blue ambient light going through to kind of play with shadows and the displays and things like that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So, but it's a lot of design on that, and at the same time I got the printers going, so so nothing stops the orders.
Out of this structure that you're showing here, how much of that have you actually gotten built?
Only one lower deck is assembled, and mostly because I don't have that much space yet, but I'm still moving things around to kind of squeeze the space in, because my goal is to have it all done for next year's Joe Fest. So I'm thinking if I can do one lower deck per month, and then have some time where I can deck out the interiors with more greebles, more printed stuff, I can probably meet the schedule. The bridge is done. It just needs to be attached. What's in gray, the flight deck in particular needs to be painted. I don't have that painted. So that's in the natural MDF wood. And the 3 other lower decks are not assembled or not painted either. And then I need to come up with a section for the front, the bow or so. I want to do some sort of door so they open up, mostly so it's easier to access the stuff on the inside. But I may have to maybe design something more like a nose cone or something like that. Something with a slope.
I just see something of the SDF-1 that is kind of
The boot.
Yeah, with the front end.
Now, is this a spacecraft or a water vessel?
Originally, it was a water it it was also designed that if you wanted to, you can customize it into a helicarrier.
Okay.
And so that was an ongoing discussion for a while. People were curious about how to do it as a helicarrier. What would make a good fan, things like that. And then I was thinking, like, well, if I was Cobra, I would think, like something in orbit. The world below me, that kind of thing. No one's above me. I'm everyone else is below me. So, and so I was thinking, okay, well, how about something space? A space theme.
It's something no one's really, I don't think, even touched yet for G.I. Joe, except for just in the cartoons and the concept. So I think this is going to be pretty cool.
I never got into the Battle Force 2000 or anything that has the. For example, I never got into the Defiant. I wanted it, and when I see it at a convention, I want it even more. But
it's awesome.
yeah, especially the complex that supports the Defiant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's people who take some very good photos up close, and so that's a lot of material there. So other than the Defiant, that marks the time when I started to stop collecting the comic books, and then soon after stopped collecting the toys. So from then on, I really am at a loss in terms of names on vehicles and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's about the same time I stopped collecting, was somewhere in the 90s when everything started going fluorescent colors and crazy septic tanks and ooze crews and Star Brigade, stuff like that. I was just like, this is not the G.I. Joe I grew up with. This was too high tech, and I was done.
Yeah, the last figure that I actually bought was I think it was a Cobra. What, Immortal? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Red guy.
Red.
Looks sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a fancy, super fancy Crimson Guard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the very last that I bought. And
Yeah,
other
I basically stopped in '87 when the cartoon came out, and I don't think, or the movie came out. I don't even think I had any '87 characters at all. I had several '86 characters, but no '87 characters. And then, like, other than a Gung Ho that came out in, I think it was '92 or '92. I didn't collect any GI Joes again until '97, when those weird 3-packs came out and that kind of thing. But it was, and I kind of kept up with GI Joe a little bit, but it was still at the point like, now they're just getting weird, because I was looking at like Crocmaster and Big Boa and Crystal Ball and Raptor, and I'm like, excuse me, wow, they just got weird. I mean, GI Joe stayed fairly normal until about '88, '89, but Cobra started getting really bizarre.
Yeah, it's like, but they do have some nice vehicles that did come out after.
Oh yeah.
But some of them, very, very strange. I mentioned earlier today a Destro vehicle, a Demon. I didn't know that it existed until some years ago when I started to get back into G.I. Joe collecting, and that's when was talking a lot with Graham and others from the old site that I don't want to mention, but the site that must not be named. But so talking with him, he kind of introduced me to Dio stories, and I did some Google searches, and I found someone. I think his name was Purple Violent or Violent Purple, something like that. But he had a large Dio story going on, and like in a basement, it had artificial grass and other things like that. But he was actually making a story with it, and I thought that was pretty good.
Mhm.
And then I started to see other people had nothing to do with Dio stories at all, but they were taking like a Star Wars stormtrooper, Indiana Jones figure, and either sealing up the articulated points so it doesn't look like it's articulated, and then painting them really, really realistic, putting them into a diorama, doing the diorama very, very realistic. And so they were doing like fine scale model work using the action figure. And
Mhm.
I was thinking, okay, well, maybe this is not really like a children's thing at a certain point. Maybe I should get back into collecting and not feel ashamed, going to Toys R Us and buying a G.I. Joe figure and things like that. So that was my experience into it, just like getting over the stereotype of this is a kid's toy, how
Right.
come you find it, that kind of thing. The stigma.
Yeah, and that's the thing I kind of noticed was like when I was in my 20s, I would still walk through the toy section of the Target or Walmart just to see what was out for GI Joe still, or Transformers or Star Wars or whatever. And yeah, you kind of feel a little bit embarrassed then, and then you get a little bit older into like your late 30s, and then it's not so bad walking through a toy section because you're of the age where you would have children that would be interested in those toys, but nobody questions it.
Right. Eventually, it got to the point where I just said, I don't care. I don't care about what someone's going to think. Too bad.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, and that used to be the thing. When I first, excuse me, same kind of thing. Reading Justin Bell and Justin Bell's big deal, that huge Dio story that he had on General's Joe's, is I was like, damn, I could do this. I could buy some Joes and a couple Cobra figures and make a story out of it and everything like that. And then it just it escalated from there. And then I began to realize like how many more adults my age were actually into collecting still.
Right.
And yeah, same kind of thing. And then doing the photography and taking the stories and then getting onto the Joe Customs, I think was the first site I went on to, and then finding out about the site that shall not be named. And that's where I met most of you guys. And I was like, okay, wow, this is cool. There's a tight community here. People don't have any problem with this. And then I'd be going out, and because I was unemployed at the time, and right across the street from my apartment was kind of a little a depressed area that was like for catching rain runoff and stuff. I lived in Phoenix and it never rains, so it was always dry in there. And I'd be taking photographs and stuff. There'd be some people come along and they'd look and they're like, dude, what the hell are you doing? And I kind of size them up. And if they were a geek, like one kid I remember was wearing like a Lord of the Rings shirt. I was like, well, okay, this dude's a geek. He may not be into G.I. Joe, but he's going to understand this. And I said, well, I'm just taking pictures of my action figures, and if they looked like somebody, not a geek, I'd be like, oh, well, I'm a freelance photographer taking pictures of products for Hasbro. Because, it's like you can't necessarily explain it to people in a matter of just minutes of like, yes, I'm an adult and I like to collect action figures. Some people just don't get that. And it's like, yeah, and I get paid money for if it's a cover shot or if it's used in, trade magazines and such. Like, wow, that's really cool.
Well, thanks for joining us, Ben. Come back next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's similar. I at the time when I started collecting, I moved to Waco, Texas, and there's not too many places there to take nice shots, unless you want to go further out, where grasses become more scarce and becomes more dirt, sandy. But you really have to go further west for that. But
Yeah.
there is an area in town that has some nice terrain for pictures. The grasses are not that rough. The soil is not, everything is just kind of nice, and it's in one of those an arboretum type thing. And there's a trail that leads off into the wooded area. And so one time I went there with a small little bag had some figures, some dreadnoughts and some Joes, just for different types of settings. And so I walk, deep into this trail. I'm thinking, okay, I'm very, very secluded. I could take out the figures and take some time and start photographing. And so I'm doing that. Next thing you know, I start hearing some people talking, and there's some people there just like looking like, hey, what's going on with him, And some down here at ground level, by some roots of some trees, taking some photos, and they're kind of like curious, like, is he hiding something? What is it? So they get more curious and they come over and take a look. There's toys. But
yeah, that's kind of the hard thing to explain, is like you're laying down on the ground, putting your camera right in the face of the action figure.
right.
So you're there, you're at the action figure's eye level. Yeah. What are you doing? Taking photos. What does it look like?
There was a guy that in Singapore. I was looking at some of the oh, hey, okay. Hey, Chad. Thanks for joining. Just like to start by saying that. Awesome.
Definitely, Chad. That's like I said. You saw my message, so I'm glad you saw that. As soon as I get running around, I did get a little bit of your project started. So like, that's one of the projects that I did say I do want to get finished. So I did get it started. I got to work on some more. I got to get some plastic, but I'm still working on your tent poles or your camouflage poles and everything. So that'll should be done. I'm not going to say when, but I'll get on it, buddy. Don't worry. I appreciate your patience, Chad.
So yeah, so there's this guy in Singapore, and so taking doing more research on figures and what's out there. You Google, you find interesting images, you dig around, you find more. Well, there was this guy in Singapore that was taking pictures of figures, but of course it's not G.I. Joe. It's a little bit taller, like 1/7 scale, like Figma or something like that. And he was going to places that I used to go to, and so that caught my interest. Some of these places are places that I've been. And then I find out that it looks like there's like some sort of action figure photo club. And so I noticed like on Saturdays, or like once a month, they would meet at the botanical garden over there. And they'll sit around and they'll take photos, and then they'll take photos of them taking photos of the figures. So you see them, completely flat on the ground, with some, a nice big lens on the camera, and the figure's way over there, and they're just taking, or they're point blank with this big, huge lens. And then from there, I started to see that there's other groups out there. There's a group in the Philippines that's active with toy photography, and so I started to take a look around, and it's like, it's not a small group at all, and it's a much bigger market, I guess you can say. People all around, different countries, different places. They're not taking photos of just of just those or Star Wars, but all sorts of figures. So that was another thing that I started to realize, that I can get involved with collecting. and not feel too bad about it because it has really no border. It crosses like every country. There's people doing that.
Yeah.
And that's about the time when we started to talk about making Dial Warriors as a standalone website. And so a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now was echoed back then. And but there's so there's a lot of psychology involved. What's the difference between an adult versus a child in terms of collecting a figure. They don't play the same way. An adult is not going to be like, oh, here's my Marauder figures, blah blah blah. It's not going to be doing that. So an adult is going to collect and assemble and display up on the shelf or something, basically untouched. They'll pose and change, but basically, the adult will take their figures more like a model. And that's when we started to think like, okay, with Dial Warriors, maybe we're not designing toys. Maybe we're designing models for the adult collector. So that's when we started to really think about, well, let's use glue. Let's use things that are already let the adult do the painting, do the gluing, treat it just like a fine scale model.
Yeah.
So that was the approach there. Oh, hey.
Yeah, and like a lot of the stuff that you sell, the little diorama props, and Sean and some of these other guys, these diorama props. I know when back when I was a kid, and I was building scale models, like a 1/72nd scale model F-14. You could go and you could buy a section of tarmac, and you could buy, like a little figure standing there holding the wheel chocks, or has one of those little fire extinguisher things, or the APU tractor is out there or something like that. And you could buy all those little things to add to your diorama, rather than just having this model of an F-14 sitting on your shelf. You can put it into a little, 1 foot by 1 foot its own little world right there.
Right.
And that's kind of the way I look at it is, these figures, like all I collect is G.I. Joe, but these figures are in their own little world. And I'm down there photographing it.
I'm beginning to see a little bit of that more seriousness, like we used to see back when we all started with photography. Every so often you'll come across someone who takes the time to use, let's say, firecrackers to cause some dirt to explode, and they're sitting there with the camera ready to go, and they get the right shots where a figure is in a pose of, say, running, and behind the figure is this explosion from the firework throwing the dirt and the mud all around. There used to be a lot of people doing that a couple years ago when acid rain was a big thing, and people were doing that with G.I. Joe and such. Then things seem to have died off. There's people who still do that type of stuff, but you don't see it as often as you did. Now with the Marauders stuff, you see that a little bit more. People building a trench, people trying to basically capture something from history, a scene in history. Maybe it's fantasy, but they try to make it their photo as if it was capturing something directly from history. You'll have some GIs carrying a wounded soldier on a stretcher, or just over the arm. They got the bandage, they got all the Marauder gear to simulate that. And so people are taking their Marauder task force figures, and they're doing what folks used to do with Acid Rain, G.I. Joe, and others years ago, but now they're doing it with the Marauders World War II theme. But yeah.
And the Marauders World War II was so much. It may not be like 100% historically accurate looking, but it looks close enough. And the figures are so much easier to work with than the who was it, Elite Force or 21st Century, whatever, that used to make all the World War II stuff all those years ago.
Yes.
I mean, those figures had such a limited articulation. They look good, but because they wanted to look good, they had limited articulation, and you couldn't get the soldier to shoulder a rifle. You could only show him like holding the rifle, like as he's running or something like that. And it's like, well, no, I want to have my Marine on Okinawa or Iwo Jima holster, with the M1 in his shoulder, rather than just kind of like walking along. And so I mean, and then obviously again too with Marauders is you get so many more choices where you buy 15 World War II soldiers and you get 15 different palettes that you can work on by putting different gear on them.
Right.
Rather than where if you were buying from 21st Century, it's like you'd get like 5 soldiers in the pack. And so you might have a platoon out there, but your entire platoon is made up of 5 different looking guys. Whereas with Marauders, you've got the ability to make, an entire platoon of unique looking guys.
Right.
And that's one of but that's just the great thing about Marauders in general.
I know it's same thing. I agree with Chad here also. One thing I like about the 1/18 scale stuff that we're involved with is the let's see, is the amount of props that we can mix and match from different vendors. And got a little bit distracted. Did I miss a window that was supposed to get displayed?
No, you guys were talking about how you guys got started, and I just had a picture here that, let me see if I can share it real quick.
Yeah, bring that up, please. I saw a thumbnail down here, but my brain wasn't registering it as something to display. I think maybe I need to close down do that. Need to close down that. But yeah, there's a picture in blue that I want to show towards the end of our broadcast, kind of for wrapping things up. But so I don't want to get into that yet. Let's see. Add to stream. Okay, here it comes.
That's what got me started, was building that for my oldest boy. You can see a lot of the stuff in the background was all from the site that we will not name, but a lot of stuff there you can see in the middle section, all those little computers. Those were all from, I think, that guy Tracker. Those were the little chairs and computer screens that you print out from court stock and paste them. I had like a little up top, the top left was like a little ready room. Next to it was a little radar, and you can see the radar dish up there. I had my Cobra Fangs out on the front, and the claws. See, I have the mass device down there with all the elements, and on the bottom was going to be the motor pool, but I never really got a chance to finish that. But there was a little walkway that went around. You could see the dark walkway there in the center area.
Mm-hmm.
It went all the way around it. And
I remember that base, man. That thing was pretty cool looking.
That was fun. It was all plywood, and 1x, and just it was bulky, but I mean it was made a lot of good pictures. I have one picture that I really liked came out was all the bats in front of the mass device was getting ready to be beamed out. You can see Cobra Commander with his fist up in just like in front of the camera, and you see the Cobra guy with the camera on Cobra Commander. So he's got his fist up there. He's making his demands of you must comply within 24 hours, or else that sort of thing. Things probably one of my my better pictures that I ever put out there. If I can find it, I'll see if I can share that one real quick too. Cause
Hey,
it was such a fun
Is that
shoot.
Fiona moaning?
Yeah, it's Kiona. I don't know if she wants out or what she's growling and complaining about. What do you want? Now she's like popping up under my hand too.
yeah, can't wait for I can't wait to finish my VSS actually. So yeah.
Here's kind of part of it. But there's no Cobra Commander here, so let's see if I can share this.
If I could get room in back here cleared out, I could probably put the VSS, and it'll probably just fit, and I'll still have to walk around because it'll be kind of tight, but that'll make a nice little background.
Are you in Texas or are you in Florida?
I am in Florida at the moment. My heart is in Texas, so sounds kind of weird, but I really would rather be in Texas rather than Florida.
As long as you're keeping your feet dry.
Yes. Might have some photos to show. Compliments of my wife. Let me just pull them all
Hey,
together.
Jane.
She's in the other room. She's monitoring and make sure that I'm looking my best. Okay, let's see. Getting back to this. Let me
I don't know how I did it last time. It's not
okay, let me share this screen. Share screen. Application window. This one. Share. Okay. So here's me on the floor, on the ground, taking pictures of figures. If I remember correctly, there was a figure somewhere up here or so that I was trying to make look like was rock climbing. So here I am again.
Is that Singapore or just some random place you found?
This is actually in Texas, the Arboretum area. They have a section for walking around, and they have little name tags on different trees, different flowers, different plants. So this is like along their little maintained trail area. And in like most things in that area of Texas, they'll do like a desert type of setting. So they'll have an area for cactuses. The ground is gravel rather than dirt, even though around in reality, the right outside of that little area, the natural ground is going to be with dirt rather than gravel. So it's kind of like a sculpted pathway. Let's see. Here's an interesting question: is the VSS as big as the USS Flag? Well, I think How big is the flag? Like 6 feet something or 7 feet something?
7.5 feet by 3 feet.
Okay, just as is, then the flag is longer than the VSS. However, unlike the flag, you can customize the VSS to be as long as you want. So mine, so if I without measuring, I think the VSS is approximately 4 feet long, by like 2 feet maybe wide, something like that. Um, so my VSS is 8 feet long and about 2 feet or so wide. Maybe a little bit longer. I mean, a little bit wider than 2 feet. But if Victor was here, he'll be able to give us the exact measurements. But maybe next week he'll be joining us. But yeah, you can just keep adding and adding and adding to the VSS. So you can easily make it, just keep upping it 4 feet more and more and more and more. So you
Not
can
only can you make it longer, you can also make it taller too.
right.
So
Right.
it's not like you
Oh,
really
so you
have
can-
to.
So it's almost
have-
modular. You can just keep adding to it.
Right. And I played around with some layouts, like if I were to have, oh, what was that?
What?
Oh, you showed something.
Oh,
It's like a Hot Wheel.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, rad! That's your USB. Of Ravage.
I had something like that, but not on display. I'll have to look for it. It might still be in the box. Yeah. Is that the USB one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got something like that as well, but it is somewhere else. I don't remember where. Oh, hey, yeah. Baby Yoda.
Is that so weird to say this? Is that the 4-inch scale or a 6-inch scale?
That's 4-inch scale.
Oh wow, so it must be
So
tiny.
here, let's well, finger wise.
Oh, cool. So he goes with the smaller figures. Then.
Yeah, it goes with 4-inch figures.
Cool.
Which I think what I'm gonna do is, in every dio, I'm gonna hide Baby Yoda somewhere. It's like, where's Waldo? Where's Yoda? He's so small, I can hide him behind a brick wall, or, looking out of somewhere. Yeah, he's very small. So,
Next to a Marauder figure.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Speaking of the Mandalorian, did you guys see the Razor Crest that is being offered on Hasbro Pulse, or whatever the Hasbro, whatever the
It's not going to be the
HasLab?
HasLab, is it?
Yeah, it's HasLab.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, it's beautiful, but I don't want to give my left testicle for it.
Yeah, I saw
You want to
that.
get your what?
I'm not giving my left testicle for it. They want $350 for it.
Wow.
Oh, damn.
The detail in it, though, however, is incredible. I mean, it's down to the weapons rack, the vacuum, where they go to the bathroom, the little vacuum hole, or whatever they call that. Some of the other details in it are just amazing. They've really, really outdone themselves on it. But when the pieces have come off of it, it's really awesome. But, the playability on it was going to be good, but for $350, I could buy an awful lot of Marauders figures
Right.
and have a lot more fun with it. They're a little more diverse, rather than buying a Razor Crest that I could use it in limited things. I mean, I could.
That is why I didn't put you on.
But it's with anything GI Joe, you can find a use for something that can cross over.
Look at along with that Ravage USB port thing or thing. What do you call it? Jump drive. I also got like this guy.
Interesting.
Scrap metal and long haul.
Oh, these are more to your what's his name?
And
The Constructicons.
Yeah, Rampage.
Cool.
Hightower. And this bad boy. Overload.
Yes. So is that complete Devastator?
That does.
Oh,
Because I
nice.
also got this way yesterday I got Scrapper and Scavenger.
Nice. You gonna try to put them together this weekend?
I don't know. I'm gonna take a few. I have to work tomorrow again, but so I got to take a few. I want to take a few photographs of them, in robot mode and alternate mode, and see. You know what? I might even take them to work with me tomorrow because we got nothing but dirt at where I work. So get
That'd
out
be
there and take
cool.
some pictures of them.
That'd be so fun.
Okay.
Let's see. Here's a camera question. I just use my phone, mostly because of it's got filters, and it's easy to kind of like add a watermark or change lighting, background, black and white, remove colors, and so I just find the phone convenient for it. But maybe one day I'll get a better camera and I could do more fancy things. What do y'all use?
Yeah, I had a nice Canon digital camera, and then I took a lot of photographs with, and then I even got the big like a big SD card to stick into it, and that was like 5,000 photographs on there, something insane like that. And then unfortunately I dropped it, and she never worked again. So right now I've got my Android Galaxy that I take. It's got a better camera on it than what that Canon was because it's 5 years newer technology. And I like it because that way I can put it on the phone right away, and then I can even just plug it into my laptop and transfer everything right away real easily to my photo files. I mean, it was easy enough to do that with the SD card too, but I'm trying to find like a decent digital video camera that also takes still photographs right now. I've bought a couple of them, but they're all, cheap. So I know Sean had recommended one here last year, and I might end up going with that one. That way I can, because I want to do some video reviews, and then also want to be able to, just take some good still photographs. So I need to find a good video editing program for my laptop too.
I do the same thing. I just use my camera through my phone because it just seems like it's a lot easier to maneuver. Cameras on these phones nowadays take just as good as pictures as a 35 millimeter. However, somebody that has a lot of skill with a 35 millimeter can take some really amazing photos. I haven't quite got to that point yet with the 35 like DSLR. I need to have D-Dubs help me out with that. But like everything else, just with my phone, and they take really good photos. You know, like Andre said, you can change the filters on it. You can do a lot of things on the phone like you could do on a regular camera, and it's not bulky. And you don't have to, you know, carry this huge camera around to, take these photos. You can slip your phone in your back pocket, pose a figure, a couple figures, whatever you want to do. Pull your finger back, camera back out, pop, 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 take some photos, look at them. Okay, I don't like this, change it. Just ease of use.
The other cool thing that I did find for my phone, I had it when I had my old iPhone, but and it will work on this one too. It's a endoscope, and it's just a long cable with a little camera on the end of it. But the cool thing about it was waterproof. So I just kind of went out in the yard one day and dug a hole that was maybe 2 foot by 2 foot by maybe 2 foot deep, almost 2 foot cubed, and
Come on, you
filled it with water.
outside?
And then I was able to like put my Navy SEALs down in there, and then I could put the camera underwater and take photographs of it. And so that was kind of cool. But that's like another reason why I want to get just a regular digital camera is, so I can, because you can get them where they're waterproof now, and that way I can stick the camera underwater.
Yeah, that's something I want to do. I've been looking for something on Amazon, and yeah, I need to figure out how to do some nice underwater shots. And I got this. I think it was last year. I got this. It was a mini fog machine, and I put that with some of my like a zombie lab type photo diorama thing that I was doing, and I just filled this 3D printed laboratory with just with fog. The effects was good, and everything got wet, but the effects was good. And since then, I've been thinking about doing something similar, but for example, like what you said you were doing with an endoscope, and take some underwater or underground type of photos with it. I'm still kind of working some ideas out, but
that device you're using was a diffuser, right? It's where you had to put it in water.
Yeah. Basically, it's called the Fog Master, and it's for desktop gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And have a small machine now that I signed up on for Kickstarter earlier, sometime last year. It's a mini version, so the idea was I could take it to Joe Fest or some other place and hide it inside of a diorama, completely enclosed, and then just have fog just spilling over onto whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the good thing about those. It does, because it's with the cooler water, it does tend to lay low like a fog instead of like a regular fogger, where it just covers areas because it's hot. This, on the other hand, likes to flow over and follow along the ground, which is really cool. But on the other hand, you do get a lot of the moisture and the splash back sometimes from the diffuser as it's running. But yeah, I had one of those. It was a Limax fountain from Michaels one year. It had a big skull, had two green eyes, and it had like two spouts that went off the side and went down, and it fogged really nice. Well, I had taken a bunch of bricks and stuff and set them up with some fake ivy and made it look like it was like a temple at night, and there were some red lights behind it that I put, like it was coming through the rock, and I had Alpine and Bazooka climbing up, somebody over there kind of pointing up there to something, and you could see in the fog in the background, Firefly was hiding behind it, like a secret door, and it was. I wish I could find that because that shot was really cool too.
Yeah.
This is the endoscope, as you can. Oops, there we go. That's the end of it there. Those are little LED lights in the end of it. And the tip of it is actually threaded. And what you can do is you can screw, there's a couple little apparatuses that you can screw on there. Like you can put a hook on there. So you can actually shove this thing down when you drop your wedding band down the drain, you can put this thing down the drain and you can actually hook it and bring it back up. And then I used it on some of those SEAL shots to have the hook going out and then just hooked it onto the gear of the Navy SEAL so that he was like right up there. And because, you know, when you put the figure in water, they tend to lay kind of horizontal, you know, and, you know, if you want them standing upright, they'll fall over. So I was like, all right, give that a go. And then it does it via, I think on my Android, it does it via Wi-Fi, but on the iPhone I had to plug it directly into the iPhone in order to get it to work. And I remember that the day I did that, I was like in so much pain because I had hurt my back the previous weekend. But I'm like laying there trying to put all the figures in there before the pain gets so unbearable. And, you know, I got the phone in my hand and I'm trying to hold the endoscope in the proper place to get the good pictures and I think I ended up taking like 400 photographs or something like that and ended up being able to keep about 125 of them or something.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
it's
Like with that fog machine, I want to do similar shots with the VSS, but the VSS is made using MDF board. So I painted it. So it's got like 2 coats of paint, but I get worried I'm going to, you know, as the water just sits there, settles there, especially if I have plastic like styrene or ABS floors and walls and things. I wonder if, you know, the water's going to seep and get between and underneath. And even though I'll try to dry things, it'll just warp the wood and make the wood get bubbly. And I don't know how MDF handles water, really. And so I don't want to take the chance of damaging up the surface of the VSS. So I'm kind of thinking like, you know, like what if I were to put like some saran wrap or something like that as a layer, and then put plastic greebles, things like that on top. I wonder how that will last, you know, in terms of time. But
Unless you paint everything, I mean, it's you should be able to, you know, if you paint and then spray
a sealer of some sort.
yeah, like a sealer, like Scotch Guard or something like that, that you know, will repel water. That could be a good way to preserve it.
Yeah, because one thing I you know, it's risky, and you know, we do things sometimes, and afterwards you start thinking like, oh well, that was kind of stupid. It's that with
like all the time.
As your figure is floating down the stream.
Yeah.
The Zombie Lab thing that I use with the fog machine, it's got lights all over the place, but you know, the lights are on top, so you know, it's not down the ground. But the wires, and I didn't realize this until after, all the wires that I have for those lights, they're wrapped around the wire shelf that I have, and they go underneath because I'm stringing them from underneath to go to the other side. And so after a while I started to see like, oh wow, you know, it's accumulating water on the bottom, and of course the water is finding its way between the tiles of the floors, and they're dripping down onto the bottom stuff. Fortunately, nothing went on any of the wires, but I got like a spider web of wires underneath all of that. And you know, of course, you know, everything's electrical, everything's all, you know, plugged in, everything's all on, nothing is waterproof. You know, And so it's like, oh man, it's like I gotta be more careful and have some foresight or design type things on my mind to prevent the water from accumulating where I don't want it to go. And so,
I'll go there in just a second.
yeah. Well, let's see. We're going on almost 2 hours. Maybe just do like 10, 15 minutes more or something like that, and then wrap it up for tonight.
Okay.
And let's see. The last thing that I have to mention is, and I don't want to mention too much of it, but because I don't want to make an official announcement until like Joe Fest next year. But it is no secret that that Dye Warriors is wanting to produce some action figures. And although I don't want to tip the hand on what kinds of action figures, not yet anyway. Well, maybe as I'm talking, maybe I'm thinking that maybe I shouldn't say anything right now. So, anyways, just wait for next year for a Kickstarter, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Just to throw out there that
Hey, Sean, did you hear? Sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, Dye Warriors has got to make some figures. Rad.
Andre said he was going to kick MJ Sullivan's ass when it comes to the action figures. They're going to be that good.
Wow. I would not be surprised for what's coming out. That's going to be pretty cool.
Well, well, it is no secret.
$5 selling point, man. That's awesome.
It is no secret because, in certain ways, because during JoeCon and Joe Fest, we do display some early prototypes. Although the figures themselves that are actually being designed are not, they don't look anything like the in the prototypes. But yeah, we are making some figures, and I'm just eager to talk about them, really, because I work, and there's a lot of detail, and the work is very top notch, and to keep things going and stuff, I'm also writing up a booklet about the figures and about ideas on using them in dioramas. So if you want to do like a Dio story or so, if you're looking for ideas, I'm trying to compile a list of, ideas. Give you an example. It is an alien type theme, and so you could have a diorama idea of something like, for example, there's a satellite in orbit, and it's going haywire, doing something strange, and you got to send like a team or something like that to go investigate, and there they find that there's something in the satellite, some creature or something like that. So it's a very nebulous type of set of ideas, but you can take something like that and change it around and make it into your own kind of idea that suits your style and what you want to do with your own action figures. So
right.
So little things like that I'm trying to put together and trying to get things ready for when we do announce a Kickstarter. The other thing is that a Kickstarter has a lot of writing, a lot of typing, so there's a lot of descriptions. So, it's just everything's keeping.
Plus, you got to make like a video and everything, telling the potential investors, like, okay, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is why we're better than what's already out there, and this is why we're going to be unique and different, especially with the action figures like that. You're going to say, okay, this is what we're doing that's different than what Marauders and Boss Fight and Planet of the Green Valleys and all that is going to do.
Right.
Andre, see if I just I was able to share this picture with you.
Let's see.
Let me try it again here if it didn't go through.
Yeah, I got the picture. You want me to see about posting it?
Yeah, that's the one with the wall climb.
Okay.
I've been searching through all of my pictures here, my Facebook, and found it. And I was like, okay, that's cool.
Sure. Let me
It's
close.
just kind of fun to
Right. It's like, how do I close the window?
share. Because I'm having a hard time sharing it. It just won't.
Sure.
Now it comes up, that turd.
Let's say I go to share screen. Share screen. Oh, I need to cancel. I need to load up the picture viewer first. Okay.
Chad, it's not going at the Vietnam Kickstarter. I'm assuming for Marauders. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that one too because, mainly for the weapon systems, but it's also I think that we're going to be getting a little bit more modern looking uniforms, and by that I mean, whereas I think MTF the basic MTF figures have sort of a futuristic looking uniform to them. Whereas I think with the Vietnam, I think it's going to be something that we can use if we want to make like a current day looking figures. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Vietnam as well. That's a cool picture there, J Dubs. I like that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was just right out in the front yard. It looks like the Vamp is, it's got its headlights on there. You can see Alpine climbing up there, and over to the far left, kind of in the shadow there, you can see there's a figure coming out of the wall. A little bit of the fog there in the little fountain.
Yes.
So,
oh yeah, you can see him.
That was just right in front of the house. I just built these, these modular looking pieces of walkway and just built it up. And I was like, hey, this is kind of fun.
Yeah, very good. Are the eyes in that skull are they lighted, or is that just from the reflection?
They're lit up. They're lit up. Yeah, they're LED. And if you carefully look at those gargoyles, both of those gargoyles are actually shooting water onto the skull. So there's a little pump in there, and it shoots the gargoyles shoot the water out on the skull, and it goes in there into that diffuser, and there's green lights below it, so you get all this green, glowing kind of a fog, which was really cool.
That's kind of cool. With Halloween coming up too, you go to the dollar store or some of these, Spirit Halloween store, and you'll be able to find stuff like that too now.
Oh yeah, well, Michaels is really good for that. You find
Michaels
lots of great, like little crystal balls and little spell books and all kinds of really cool things that you can use, for dioramas. And like the crystal ball and the spell books and stuff are all going to be used in my occult bookstore, in my diorama that I'm working on. Michaels is really good. Michaels and both Hobby Lobby are good resources to find little props. That if you don't want to look online or anything, you can find like little pots and pans and globes and books and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. So there's one more picture I wanted to share.
Yeah, the alien figures. Yeah, that's one thing, but it's how would I say, the way I'm trying to do the theme. I'm just calling it conspiracy, because that's basically I'm using the idea of conspiracy to kind of work with everyone's current action figure collection. So it's not about, in terms of the conspiracy theme, it's not about uh, competing with one brand versus another. It's using the Die Warriors figures with, how to say, actively with your own collection, your own favorite team. For example, a lot of people like G.I. Joe. So the idea is G.I. Joe's an elite team. And, well, what if there's aliens to investigate? And then you introduce the idea of conspiracy. Well, what if there's another group out there that competes against G.I. Joe on something along the alien theme that G.I. Joe doesn't know anything about because they don't have the clearance for it? In other words, another elite team.
Well, you're Men in Black from Marauder Task Force. You got
Right.
the black suit guy.
Or Shield.
Right. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, like Men in Black could appear and suddenly they have some documentation and they're showing general not to go and investigate this, or for example Mainframe uncovers some information about some other team elsewhere, and there's so that team goes off to investigate. They come back only to find out that something changed and now they are being quarantined and they're being asked questions that they're wondering, well, what's going on? How come now now they're looked at with suspicion? And then find out that there's another group that's pulling people's strings in the background. And then you can expand that, and you can you can eventually include other figure lines, other brands. You can just expand from there. And all the conspiracy theme does is just to help make it into a vehicle that you can link one brand with another brand. For example, too, some people, and this is something that I've heard in the past, it's years ago, really. How do you cross over one brand to another brand that are totally different? How do you work with Star Wars figures logically in the G.I. Joe universe without looking like it's all Star Wars stuff? Or how do you take Acid Rain and logically work it in with Marauders, or work it in with Boss Fight Fantasy? How do you do these crossovers? Well, some people might think, well, do something like a Star Trek holodeck. Or, well, with conspiracy, you can introduce alien technologies. You can introduce all sorts of other stuff that are alien-based, like it's a magic wonder thing. And suddenly you can have, you can go visit a world, not a parallel Earth or a time issue, but you could have some world in some other part of the galaxy that is fantasy. So the boss fights, orcs, whatever they calling them, or the Gorgons and the Greeks, all that exists there. And then suddenly your favorite Joe member has to now deal with Gorgons and find a way to get back to Earth, or
Stargate.
something like that.
Yeah,
Stargate. Cobra.
Well, I mean, that and Stargate, like with exactly what you were talking about, it's like Stargate would almost be the perfect catalyst that joins all of these worlds together.
That's one thing that I really, really enjoy from the Stargate series, is that you can blend all of these potential ideas and make sense. The other thing that I like is that it was also kind of like what I liked about Star Trek was that it was humans going off to other worlds and not looking like we're the weak ones, but we had technology, we had stuff that we can go, we can beam down, we had advanced technology, and we're humans from Earth, and we're not relying on some alien to take us for a ride. We were the ones in control. And when it came to Stargate, it was the Air Force. It was an American military branch that was calling the shots for the most part. And as things went on, they introduced the Russians. The Russians had their own stuff. They introduced other, a political side of things. You had some politicians wanted to take away control from the military and put into a civilian oversight committee, things like that. But what I liked is that it was an American entity that was basically in control of the Stargate program, and it did it really well. It wasn't like some sort of bully group or something. We're going to do what we want. Instead, it was done very honorably, and not disrespecting any branch of the military. So I like that part too. But yeah, Stargate made it very easy to logically accept you're relying on an alien device to go from planet to planet, and then you could do strange things, a time travel thing here, somehow going off to another galaxy there, things like that. And they did it very well. They introduced all sorts of different potentials very, very well. And Stargate is one of my favorite series out there, really, next to Star Trek, really.
Yeah.
Let's see. But yeah,
I didn't watch it that often, but when I did, it was always enjoyable, and it was kind of like, you didn't really need to you didn't need to know the entire story. You could watch one episode, and you weren't necessarily like, what the hell is this?
and there's oh, let's see, here's something. Let me close this window. Let's see, add to stream.
Oh, F-16.
Yep.
Is that your? Don't you? You've got one of the 1/18 scale F-16s, don't you?
Yeah, I decided I would. You'll barely see that little cord there, the little white cord in the lower right-hand corner.
Oh yeah.
The spotlight, but I mean, really, you can't tell that that's connected to the cord. And then I've got, you see the running lights on there in the aircraft. Those are Christmas lights that I had taken electrical tape and covered up everything else except for just one light on each spot to make it look like that it's, everything is where it's supposed to be. And somebody once said, "Hey, is that a real picture? Is that a human in the foreground?" I'm like, "No, that's an actual that's a pit commando that I was using as a crew chief. I made some little blue head protectors. That's what color that I was using when I was a crew chief. They were just all kind of." I wouldn't really say a light blue, but it was a pretty blue color. The Air Force, just put them up there, and I put the jet there, and I was like, man, these turned out really awesome. Very little lighting.
Yeah, to see if the figure wasn't standing there, I would actually think it was a real F-16. It's just the figure it just looks a little off to make it look like a real person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can see the joints there in the knees, but other than that, if you take the figure out of there, you'd swear it's a night photo of an F-16 that is taxiing.
There was one guy.
Yeah, you can really see the little cord. Yeah.
There was one guy on the old site that won't be named. I think his screen name was Think Tank or something like that. But he had a similar shot of a night raven, and he had blue Christmas lights just set up as part of the runway, and it was really well done. I mean, it didn't look like a toy night raven at all. It looked like something real. Very nice shots. Yeah, so with
share this
with conspiracy, it's just a vessel to make it easier to cross over other brands. in a logical sense. And oh hey, here's a question for you, Sean.
Back up there. Oh, I bought it off a guy. I think it was on. I want to say it was on eBay. I think at the time I probably paid less than $200 for it.
Mm.
It's the Wolfpack F-16, which is really cool because it's from Kunsan Air Base in is that South Korea? I think it's Kunsan, something like that. I don't know if I'm pronouncing
Busan?
it. Yeah. And I really liked it. Their patch was just a wolf's head. It was really, really awesome. And this was back before I went in the Air Force. I actually I just sent a message over there um, to the base and asked, hey, can you please um, pass this along to whomever? But, I collect patches, and if there's a way that you can get me a Wolfpack patch, I'll be happy to pay for it if you just let me know. And I never got a response, which is kind of sad. But later on down the line, patches became more available, and you could just basically buy it offline. And, to me, it was cool. I could have got one, but I would rather have it come directly from, the unit or, pilot that was wearing it.
Yeah, some pilot rip it off the Velcro on his shoulder or something like that.
I had that happen. I had my high school. I'm not too far from Edwards Air Force Base, and we had an aviation week. Our club brought some folks from NASA over from Edwards, from the there's a word they use, but basically it's the crews that assist the SR-71 and U-2 pilots, physiological, or something. So they had brought out a pressure suit with everything, and they could show how they would inflate it, and they would, the legs would stick out and everything. And they actually had a test pilot that was there, and he took off his test pilot school patch and handed it to me. And it was kind of a cool thing to have a graduate patch from Edwards Air Force Base. No, I'm sorry, it was an instructor patch. It wasn't a graduate patch because he couldn't give me the graduate patch because you had to earn that. I got the instructor patch, so that was really cool.
That's cool.
I just noticed your background poster behind you, Sean, with the UFO lights.
P-Dubs painted that. Patty painted that. So yeah, that was. I was thinking about a background, and she's like, "Hey, my picture is a beautiful background." So,
Well, that kind of reminds me, these things I want to talk more about. Okay, so, but especially writing up this little booklet. But one idea that came up a couple months ago, and I don't want to elaborate too much on details, but have you seen those hover displays? They use magnets to levitate items. So you have electromagnet base, and then you put a receiving magnet on something, and that will kind of center it and keep it hovering a few inches off of the base.
They did that with a DeLorean.
Right. Well,
yeah.
One idea that came up is to once we do introduce the alien line, is to do some aliens on hover platforms. Just 3D print some platforms and just put some aliens on there. And it's like, hey, that might make like a nice little perk or something like that for Kickstarter, or just have it on a table at Joe Fest. A bunch of aliens hovering, really hovering. And or maybe I could 3D print a UFO, just have it hover. So your UFO in the background, that brought that memory. So I may have to do something like that.
You know,
Nice size UFO.
speaking of UFOs, this has been bothering me all day because I've had this recurring dream. This is probably the second or third time that I've had this dream, and it was a crashed UFO. There were two bodies inside, and every time I've had this dream, it's just there's this smell that was like it was not pleasant, and recovering these two, and they were small aliens that were in this craft. And it's just weird because I keep thinking about it all day. It's like why have I had this dream a second or third time, and it's just really weird.
Because you're obsessed with aliens.
But
You are
there's,
that guy.
that's one thing with like not alien, cattle mutilations. One thing that they do talk about is there seems to be a substance on many of these cattle, and it stinks. It's not like decay. It's not that kind of stink. It's some other acidic, very strong kind of stink that that they notice on many of these cattle. Sometimes they'll talk that this chemical gives like a slight orange color to stuff, but it seems to prevent things from decaying. I mean, even flies are not going to the cattle. Ants are not eating on the cattle. It's like nothing wants to touch the cattle and got the stuff. But the thing about it is that I remember a story long time ago, like during the Vietnam War type time, where a B-52 was sent, to do some run. I don't know if it was a bombing run or just I don't know what they were doing, but they were sent somewhere. And was it B-52? I may have gotten my
Vietnam, most likely, yeah.
Yeah, I may have gotten my story wrong. It may have been a World War II thing, and it was a World War II bomber. But whatever the detail, I'll have to go back and take a look. But the thing is that what happened in the story is that they went off to do whatever mission that they had to do. The radio tower got some message that something was going on. I don't remember the details. That bomber had to turn around and come back. And when it was coming back, it was like struggling to stay in the air. It finally landed, semi-crash landed kind of thing. People go in to rescue, and they noticed that the entire fuselage everywhere was full of tiny holes, small little holes. And there was a strange odor also in there too. And people describe it in the same way like they describe the cattle mutilations type odor. And all the crew was dead. The guy who piloted the plane to land, he didn't survive. He died by the time the rescue crews got on. But they also noticed that everyone had used their sidearms. There were bullet casings everywhere, like they were shooting at something. And there was no sign of what it was they were shooting, but everyone had like some holes in them as well. The fuselage had a whole bunch of holes, and they don't know what happened. And but the thing is about the B-52. Now this one I do remember, there was a similar story of something in Vietnam that was like that, and all I remember about it is that the B-52 went down in the jungles. They went to investigate. And they found a whole bunch of little bitty holes. They didn't find any crew, anything like that, but all over the place, a bunch of little bitty holes. So it was something very similar.
And from what I remember, the plane was, as it was sitting on the ground, it's like its wing configuration was for flight. It wasn't for like coming in for a landing where the flaps would have been down and stuff like that.
Right.
Like the plane had been taken out of the sky and set down.
yeah, I think I'll have to go back and take a look at the details. Um, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of strange things like that. Um, One thing that comes up in the UFO stories on TV, they'll look like they'll go back to like the 1970s or 60s or so, where there was an Australian pilot, and usually the UFO story talked about the pilot in this small prop airplane uh, radioing that there was an aircraft that was approaching and hovering over his airplane, and he would try to dodge and get away, but this aircraft would stay with it. And then they'll say that the radio tower got lost communication. Then they find that the plane went down, somewhere, it crashed, and that's where the story usually ends. But there was another side of that story that never really got released until a few years ago, where the pilot was basically crying for help, that there was some light coming from the UFO, and it was heating up everything. He was saying he was being burned. They're scorching me. And that's when they lost contact and everything. But yeah, all these things about airplanes, especially over the Pacific. There's a lot of strange things that go on, and there's very, very similar stories out there. And there's a lot, that's well, when it comes down to action figures, there's a lot you can use as material for a Dio story. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I do like that idea of. I think when I get my hands on those, I think Shield and the Men in Black are both going to be in the Air Force. Are all going to show up at the same time and fight over who has jurisdiction.
Oh my God!
It's a great time to be collecting action figures. Yeah.
Coulson out there. That's what
Agent Simmons with Section 7.
Oh gosh.
Man.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So just for closing now, I guess this is a good time. Let me just share this one screen, and then I'll close it up. Let's see. So tomorrow is the 26th.
Yeah, so the 27th, we're looking at tomorrow was supposed to be a launch from Cape Canaveral, NROL, or National Reconnaissance Office Lab. Heavy Delta Heavy rocket. That means it has the center plus the two big two side boosters. They were going to launch tomorrow, but it looks like it's now launched for 12:10 Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday.
Sunday, okay.
Yeah, so I'll probably post some Dio Wars, and like I normally do, post you guys the link. But this launch should be pretty amazing. And normally the NROL launches are launching the usually a spy satellite of some sort for the Air Force or for the government, or the X-37 spacecraft.
Well, let me know when they launch. I want to watch it if they have it live.
Okay, absolutely. I'll put the link. I'll show you.
So, okay. So the last thing is just that this is the little booklet I'm writing. So, nothing secrets in showing this. Very, very basic, but it gives the idea. It's
So you're the guy that wrote Project Blue Book. Ah.
So it's going to be a theme along like these lines like this. So I guess you could say expect to see more images, things in Joe Fest that are reflecting a blue book type of approach. And of course, there's a lot more to the thing, but it's no secret about the about doing aliens and stuff. And one thing I like about this is that right off the bat that you see Blue Book, what do you think? You think of aliens. So more to come.
Right.
Well, it's about little bit more than 2 hours. We're going to start concluding and closing down. Any final things to say?
Just still looking forward to what all you got going on there with the VSS, man. That shit's looking good.
Yeah. Same here, Chad. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, Chad. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good to always see you in there, and chiming in, asking questions and stuff. Keeps us going too.
Yes. Okay, thanks for the help. Okay, I guess next Friday then. Hopefully, I think Victor Garcia was supposed to be here tonight, but he couldn't make it. So maybe, hopefully, next week we'll have Victor visiting, and he can elaborate and talk more about the VSS and what got him to start the VSS and things like that, challenges and stuff. And so next week should be interesting as well. Thank you, Otto, for showing up. Thank you, Sean, for showing up. Okay, going to close and end the broadcast now. 3, 2, 1.
Have a good night, guys.